Welcome to Cinema 5D on the Couch, the talk show with filmmakers and industry leaders. Brought to you by Film Convert, B&H, and Rode Microphones.
Welcome to another episode of Cinema 5D on the Couch. This is a new season, this time from NAB 2015. Thanks to our sponsors B&H, here at the B&H event stage, Film Convert and Rode. We're happy to welcome another round of guests. Today we have Philip Bloom and Dale Backus from SmallHD.
Hello.
Hi. So, as always, we have to start off with new cameras because we are at the Gear Show.
There's new cameras?
Yeah.
Who?
Small company called Blackmagic released 38 new products today.
I thought it was 17.
No, they said 38.
38. Oh, 17 cameras though.
Probably.
Okay, and what have they announced? I mean, I saw the Blackmagic Ursa Mini, or as we would call it, the Blackmagic Ursa Normal size.
Yeah, it finally works on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice.
What is it? I don't know the specs. I haven't had a chance to check it out yet.
It's basically the same as the Ursa, but now it has a 4.6K sensor.
And one person can carry it.
One person can carry it. It is still quite heavy, but it works on the shoulder.
That's good.
It has a foldable handle like the FS7.
Does it still have the big screen?
A smaller screen, 5-inch Full HD.
Oh, like an iPad Mini now.
And they have a very nice viewfinder now as well.
Oh, that's lovely. That's good. That's good. It sounds. I mean, it's good that they've taken on board then.
Yeah.
Things that we had problems with.
And but you have been working a lot with drones lately, right?
Yeah, fair few.
They also announced a new drone camera, which is I don't even know what it's called, like the micro cinema camera.
Yeah, so it's not pocket, it's a micro, but it looks bigger than the pocket.
No, it isn't.
Isn't it? I'm confused by the names, but yeah, I mean, is it specifically just for drones?
No, it's not, but you can mount it everywhere.
And a Super 16 as well, yeah?
Yes, and they have the cool thing is the Full HD version has a global shutter, which is good for drones, I guess.
Yeah, and so is there a 4K version or is it just HD?
There is a 4K version as well, which is called the Studio micro camera.
To fly?
I don't quite understand it, but...
You fly a studio camera?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
I'm confused.
It is like the 4K version of it.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
And who else have got cameras? Anybody else brought out new cameras? Because the thing is, most of the new cameras were announced, a lot of them, before Canon.
With the C300 Mark II, which everybody knows about already.
Yep.
And we have a new Panasonic that everybody has overlooked so far. It's the DVX200. So...
How long ago was it the last one came out? The actual 100, it must be, 9 years now? 8, 9
The
years?
100 was probably 9-10 years ago.
It's what you shot.
Yeah, I shot a long documentary on that.
Every step you take.
It's a workhorse of a camera.
It's great. It was the first camera to bring 24p digital video to the masses, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it was a key camera, and it's good for Panasonic to get back into the game because they kind of went very quiet.
Yeah.
They did the AF 100. After the DSLR revolution, they had the AF 100, which I bought, of course. Didn't use it much and haven't done anything really
since.
since.
GH4, I mean.
But that's stills division. It's like it's the sort of the FS 100, those the C100, those sort of cameras. They haven't really.
Have you shot with a Varicam, the big one?
Too heavy. I can't carry heavy things anymore.
It's as expensive as the Alexa as well.
Is it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's not. I heard it's very nice though. Have you used it?
Nope.
Yeah. Have you used it?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah?
Got like 4 of them.
Just for family?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Home videos and stuff.
Yeah. That's all right.
Yeah.
But you guys must be doing really well now with your products because of all the new cameras out there. It's basically one of the biggest downsides of most new cameras is that, the viewfinder isn't always great.
Yeah, most of the cameras except for Blackmagic, as you just mentioned, with the Full HD OLED viewfinder and the flip out 5-inch. But yeah, I mean a lot of these cameras are they're coming out so rapidly, and like especially Canons don't have very good viewfinders. We hear a lot about that, and so yeah, we're here to supplement that really. Like
you can't turn that way.
Yeah, apparently.
So you have a new product which is a monitor / viewfinder.
Yep.
You have it with you?
I do. Well, right now I have the monitor on top of my OM Mark II. So this is the 5-inch 1080p screen, HDMI. It's a really professional camera top monitor. It's a beautiful display. And the form factors, everyone says it looks like a smartphone. It's because it does. We're going for that familiar feel. It's super lightweight, and it's not just made to go on top of DSLRs though, because it has SDI inputs and outputs, HDMI, full-size connectors, cross-conversion, tons of scopes and features. It's a completely new generation. It's the beginning of a bunch of new products that we're going to be doing with this platform.
3D Lux?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
got one out right now.
Because we used it a little bit in Brighton 2 weeks ago, and yeah, I mean, it's that sort of size screen. Swiss I use Movi a lot and other things like that, and you know, it's nice having a big screen on it, but everything weight-wise makes a difference.
Oh yeah.
And having a decent screen, because you know, it's all quite close to you, so you don't need a big screen.
Right. And when the trend is going smaller, lighter, you know, less stuff to carry, and monitors kept getting bigger and bigger, and we just, you know, we really wanted to pack a professional featured monitor into something that this thing weighs like 7 ounces or something like that, and it draws only 5.5 watts of power, so it just runs forever, and it just doesn't feel like the problems with all of our monitors up to this point, and many other monitors, in my opinion, there's so much overhead in using it. You know what I mean? You have to get the right batteries and the right battery mounts and the right mounts to your camera and the cabling and all that. And it's just like we really try to simplify a lot of that, reduce the weight, reduce the complexity, but just increase value to the shooter. You know, so
why has it taken so long for small full HD cameras to be in the small full HD monitors, which are affordable, to come to the market? Is it because you guys are dependent on, I don't know if you can talk about that, but you know, what is available on the market?
Well, a lot of people think we make our own displays, right? Which is impossible. I don't have a few $1 billion to start up a display fab line.
You don't?
No, unfortunately not yet. But maybe I can borrow some from you?
No, Nino's the rich one.
All right.
Yeah, these are his couches.
But so we piggyback on, like, you know, neighboring technologies like tablets, smartphones, and things like that, and so we've just been kind of waiting for that. I mean, 5-inch smartphone displays been around for maybe a year or two, and so it just takes we're a little bit of lag there, obviously, because we're a much smaller industry than consumer electronics, but it's there, and there's other 5-inch Full HD monitors out there, but none of them are nearly the footprint that this one is. And the real hard part is not the display, it's the circuitry, compacting it down into a space of this size. That's been the hardest part, I think. Even though there may have been 5-inch displays 2 years ago, getting the circuitry small enough to fit inside, you know, a 5-inch form factor has been really difficult. And so that's what we've been focusing on for the past year.
It does it do loop through as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, just loop through and cross conversion.
Yeah.
So you guys basically have to wait for this technology to become affordable, because the smartphone manufacturers produce them in a massive scale.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And a lot of times I can't walk up to a factory and be like, "Can I get 100 panels or 1,000 panels?"
They just laugh at you, right?
Yeah, like unless it's like 1 million panels, they really don't care. And so there's a little bit of trickiness involved, but we're figuring it out.
What's the reaction been at your stand?
What?
Has the reaction been good on the stand?
Oh yeah. And that's the monitor is the first part. Yeah. Right. But as we did with the DP4, we like the value of a hybrid device, right? Instead of having to buy a monitor and having to buy an EVF, we have this, which is a monitor and an EVF. I think I lost my mic. Can you hear me?
Okay.
And so this is what we call the Side Finder, and it's an attachment that goes onto any 500 series product. Right now there's just one, and you snap it on. Went the wrong way with it. You snap it on, and now it's a greater than 720p viewfinder. I don't know if you tell when I snapped it on, this automatically changed. So you see there's a full
maybe you
image
can turn it around so people
and
see
you've got some.
So there's like these little HUD windows right here. When I open this up, you can see that there's the full image. When I close it, it readjusts automatically.
So the monitor detects the loop.
Right, so the monitor, all the smarts from the monitor, the loop is optics and mechanics and mirrors and things like that, but all the electronics, all the things that make it really smart are in the monitor, and they just kind of talk to each other in a way that makes it a really nice user experience. And we designed it to have a pretty large field of view, but that can be adjusted down to fit the user, right? A lot of people start at a 25-degree field of view, but we start at a 40-degree field of view, and you can adjust that to your liking. And so it's an extremely flexible third-party EVF that works with every single camera, and it hopefully works to the taste of every shooter as well.
Yeah.
So
you're going to be able to do 4K downscaling or anything like that through it?
At some point, yes.
Yeah.
Not today,
That'd
but
be
yeah,
nice.
there will be a variant that does
That'd be
4K like activities.
It has both HDMI and SDI, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Lovely.
Yep, and they're full-size connectors. They're not the little micros or the little, standard stuff.
Yeah.
Standard stuff.
I wonder why you guys are the first ones to come up with this concept, because I think it's brilliant to not actually have the screen right in front of you, because that is the problem with many other viewfinders / monitors on the market.
Yeah, I mean,
they're just too big, which it's too far away from the camera to properly balance it and to properly work with it on your shoulder.
Yeah, it's all about form factors. Everyone wants an EVF that's this big, that's 1080p, that's $500, right? But the technology is just not quite there yet. And we learned a lot from the DP4. The DP4, we did pretty well with that, but it was just a little too wide, right, to be comfortable in a lot of situations. So with this, you wouldn't mount it this way. You'd mount it from here with the side finders. You can get this thing really, the eye cup can be really close to your rig, and so you're not cocking your neck off and getting a lot of chiropractor bills and stuff. So it's all about form factor, ergonomics. We didn't realize when we did before how important that was to an EVF. Yeah. And so that's why this, I don't know, just had a eureka moment one day. We actually been working on this concept for like 2 years, trying to figure out the way to do it. So.
So Philip, are you a viewfinder person or more monitor person?
Both. Well, I use a viewfinder when I'm handheld. I'm shooting in bright sunshine on a tripod, which obviously isn't England. Here would be very occasion, but otherwise it's monitor. I used for the Wunderlist. I used the DP7 Pro High Bright, which is wonderful, and I love having it on because you have this lovely big image all the time. I have my 3D LUT, my grade that I want on there. And it's wonderful to see that. The biggest downside to filming on a tripod with a monitor in public is it draws a crowd because they can see. And whereas the viewfinder is much more private. So there's times when I just switch over. But yeah, I couldn't choose between. I mean, I'd hate to just have a viewfinder that only was a viewfinder for like interviews. The worst thing for like a 2-hour interview is having to look through that viewfinder the whole time. You just want to sit down, have the screen, and just make sure everything's fine.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'm basically the same. If I'm on the shoulder, well, even on my C300, I very often just use the screen.
Yeah.
But of course, in sunshine, it's impossible. So, and now with Secuto Gratical, I've gotten more used to using viewfinders again.
Yeah.
And it's just a different kind of quality, I would say, in terms of
It's immersive. I mean, that's the key
yeah.
thing. Is with a viewfinder, it's much more immersive than shooting with a screen.
Yeah.
Because mind you, because I come from a news background. It's my left eye is almost always open anyway, always looking for the next shot. But it's you're in that image, and that is key. But yeah, there's a time and a place for both, and and as you know, most cameras don't come with a decent viewfinder these days.
And if they do, it's often in the wrong position. It's like at the back, or it's like
FS700.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was probably the worst of the ones. Yeah. Yeah.
Like it has like a hand strap and an eye cup, so you can like hold it like you're all right, kids, I'm rolling.
Yeah, I mean, they've all learned. I mean, they're getting better step by step, but I still think there's room for improvement when it comes to ergonomics with all cameras. Although cameras, surprisingly, like the C300 and the Mark II, when I saw the C300 for the first time, I thought, what is this? But once I started using it, it actually turned out that it works quite well, handheld. Right. Obviously on the shoulder it's a bit more difficult, but just the form factor makes it very usable to hold it like this, and just
But like Sony, I mean, Sony have gone from the FS100 and 700 to say the FS7, which is actually ergonomically very well thought through, and it's so nice to actually be able to have a camera that works almost out the box, really.
Almost, yeah.
But you can get away with it absolutely fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, for me, having spent all my formative years shooting with Betacams, the whole concept of rigs and other stuff. I don't think I ever had a monitor when I was working in news. No, we never had monitors.
No, you never seen a monitor.
No, I didn't. I never had a monitor. I didn't get a monitor until like 18 years into the job.
Well, they used to be really expensive. I mean, you really only had very big ones, like the big tube ones.
Yeah.
And heavy to lug around.
Yeah.
But let's talk a little bit about the Wunderlist.
Finished.
So it's finished?
Well, it's finished in America, but it's because Endemol bought the distribution rights for the world. So it'll be popping up in different countries, in different places, Who knows when? I don't know.
But this project kept you busy for half a year, more?
Yeah, I mean, my first phone call about it was in June. My first time I hit record was in July. And the first episode was filmed in August. And the last time I hit record was in February. And so they were editing until about 6 days ago. And the last two episodes went out on Sunday.
Yeah.
And it's a massive commitment. 8 countries, 5 continents. It wasn't solid. I mean, I had other jobs and other things between, but it was, you're always thinking about the next thing and working on stuff. And it was, I think we're all very proud of what we achieved with it. And
well, I know you never travel light, even though you always say you try to.
Well, traveling light for me is 3 cases.
I never saw you travel with just 3 cases, but you changed the gear you used over the whole production, right?
So effectively it was one-man band. I mean, I did, so the crew was Bill Weir, who's the CNN anchor, who's the host of the show. And then there'll be myself as the DP, and there'll be the producer of the episode, who's also shooting, mostly on a C100. And there'd be the field producer, Julian, who I'd give him my A7S when we needed an extra angle on interviews. So it was 2 cameras most of the time going, but I was operating either the F55 for the first half of the series, then I switched to the FS7 for various reasons, but I was also using Movi with A7S, and I was also using another handheld A7S for times when I wanted to shoot, not on a Movi, but not draw attention to myself with a big camera, and also drones. So you can imagine it was. I mean, when I turned up for the first shoot in Greece, in Ikaria in Greece, I think they didn't quite understand what it meant by me bringing this stuff, and I had so many cases with me. And I refined it down slowly, but in the first one, especially as it was Europe, so it's easier for me, cheaper to bring stuff. I just brought everything, and then gradually got it down from like 7 bags to maybe 5 by the end.
What made you switch from the F55 to the FS7?
Weight. Not that it's a heavy camera, it's the F55, it's a nice balanced camera, but it was on our 4th, it was the 4th episode we filmed, which was the first one that went out, which was in the South Pacific, in Vanuatu, which was up, and it was, the problem we had, so all in all, I think my luggage weighed, I do not know what it is in pounds, I only know in kilos, roughly about 180 kilos, okay? So, anybody know what that is in pounds?
Like 400 pounds?
400 pounds.
Roughly.
Okay, so 400 pounds worth of gear, but it was 180 kilos. So they told me in Vanuatu, because we were going on a small plane taxi to get to different islands, we're all of us on the shoot, we're 6 foot tall or taller, we're big guys, which doesn't really help. And so there's a fair bit of weight straight away. And then they told me how much weight I could bring, which was 110 kilos. I'm like, okay. And then they said, but we have some issues. We may not have power for a lot of these places. And I'm like, so when you don't have power, what do? You bring more batteries, which is more weight. And so, I'm using V-Lock batteries, and V-Lock batteries aren't light. And so I was going through roughly 4 to 5 a day of V-Locks. And I thought, well, how long do you think it would be the most without any power? Potentially 3 to 4 days. I'm like, that's a lot of batteries.
And you can't even bring the big ones because they wouldn't take them on planes, right?
It was like, okay, so actually I need more weight. And I knew the FS7 was coming out, and I knew this could be my solution because it uses the EX1, EX3 batteries, which are small and last ages. And I have loads of them. Like, I think maybe 5 of them will equal 1 V-Lock, but I would only go through 1.5 in a day. So that was and I was just desperate for them to come in, that camera to come into stock. And it came into stock, I think 10 days before we went out. Otherwise, I simply did not know how we were going to do it. In the end, actually, we only had 1 night without power. So it wasn't so bad at all. But it was, that's why we switched. And I didn't switch back because I think the F55 is a way superior camera, but the FS7 is a great documentary camera. It is lighter, it is nicer traveling with less stuff, and and also I was in places which were, I was out at sea, I was on beaches, I was in places where, with a $50,000 camera with all its stuff on it, although it's covered in insurance, doesn't matter, I still We'd rather have a cheaper camera.
Yeah.
And the image quality, couldn't really tell a difference, not really. So.
I mean, these days we all film with a lot of different cameras on the same production.
Yeah.
So one of the challenges that has arisen over the past few years is that cameras look different.
Yeah.
You try to make them look the same while you're shooting,
Yeah.
which is hard, especially when you cross the manufacturer barrier. So let's say you mix a Sony with a Canon, or
Anything, really.
anything, yeah. So what did you do, or what did CNN do to make those different cameras look alike in post-production?
I mean, so one of the things that when we first started, I mean, the reason why we had a Canon involved, I mean, they're fabulous cameras, and C100 is a really underrated camera. It's really nice. The image out of it is just lovely. And in fact, I prefer the Canon image out the camera than the Sony image. I have to work harder at the Sony image to get it how I like it to look like. I don't like how it looks straight out.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
But they own them, so technically it was an in-house production compared to all their other original series, which are all outsourced. So they did use some of their gear, which was the C100. So that was why it was in there. And I didn't want to use Canon cameras because I wanted the slow motion, which was the key thing. I needed slow motion. And even now with a C300 Mark II, was it 120, but the crop sensor, which isn't still not good enough for me. So that's why I went with the Sony F55. I went with mine. So I'm shooting. The key thing is, you need to have things color corrected and graded properly. If you're gonna, I mean, to be honest with you, really with anything, but especially if you're using, a Canon, Sony F55, A7S, GoPros. You're mixing so many different cameras. You do need. And I was using X-Rite color checkers, so they had references to go from. But the problem is, the budget, unfortunately we found out the budget wasn't actually there to get it properly graded.
It's a
for a colorist.
Typical TV production in a way.
Yeah, it's one of these, I mean, for all the current affair stuff I've done in the UK, it's never graded, but that's because it goes up to the wire with lawyers and stuff before it goes out. They're waiting for responses from stuff. But this isn't a current affair show, it's a documentary series. But it was always supposed to be graded with a colorist, and we found out later on, after we shot maybe 5 of them, that it wasn't. So it's really difficult. And they did I think some of the episodes are graded better than others. It's not how I personally wanted it to look, but this is what this is why you do your own work, your own projects, and I own stuff, because it's the reality of anything that we make for clients, whether it's broadcast or corporate or weddings. It's not for you, this is for them. So you work, you can't be like a diva and say, nope, you're not going to have my footage until you grade it properly. You accept it, and it's, you have to just accept it's not quite exactly as it was. I mean, the edit wouldn't necessarily be as I wanted. It's the same for everything, and that's absolutely fine. I mean, it's actually quite easy to do. But the problem is they didn't have. They were going to go with DaVinci Resolve if they had the money, but they didn't, and there was no alternative within the contract that they had. So it had to be done within Avid Symphony, which is quite limited.
Yeah.
So, but when you're mixing cameras, it's actually really easy with different software. I mean, even if you're not that skilled at being a colorist. So, for most of my work for the past 2 years, maybe, I've been using Film Convert. And what I love about Film Convert is they have presets for different cameras. So as long as you know what their presets are, and they cover the settings. So like the A7S, for example, have a great preset for that. The one I generally shoot Cine Gamma 4 and Cinema, and so there's one for that. And FS7 has S-Log 2, and as long as you have that, it's actually really easy. The only bit of fiddling you need to do is maybe adjust your exposure or your white balance.
Yeah.
And it really matches very, very simply.
Yeah, as opposed to other grading solutions, you can select the camera and you basically download a package for people who don't know it, you download a package, like let's say you shoot on an F55, you select the F55 preset, and then it tells you need to download that grading package, and then you install that, and it knows exactly what you did, and then you can mix cameras.
Well,
and you can just tell it, well, that Canon camera is on C-Log, and that Sony camera is on S-Log, and then they look alike. You don't have to do anything if you have the same white balance, right?
It's taking the work away, from you. Now, obviously, if you are a pro colorist, you know, you're not. It's. I guess it's kind of like auto for us.
Yeah.
When we're shooting. So you know, a lot of them would, you know, but a lot of the colorists I know like film convert for the grain, film grain, and that sort of stuff. But I mean, it's basically the same concept as if you were grading it individually yourself. Because what I would do if I wasn't using film convert would create profiles to match, and then use those and drag and drop, and then work from that.
Yeah.
But this is just. It's just very simple.
I sometimes do the real color correction in DaVinci if the time is there, and the grade with film convert, because that just gives it that beautiful film gloss, and a real film look kind of that we want, right?
Yeah, it's lovely. I mean, it's, you know, a pro colorist, they do wonders. It's what they do. You know, it's like anything, whether you're, you know, working, you know, on the shooting crew or your post-production crew. How often do you do everything?
Less and less, luckily, but
you still do it.
Yeah.
But everything is compromised.
Yeah.
You accept that. But if you know, there's to have a specialist doing certain stuff.
Of course.
You know, I like editing my own work. But I love having a good editor to edit stuff. A good editor will see stuff that you don't have, and they have a perspective that you don't on that work.
True.
And that is so important.
I hate editing my own stuff, especially right after the shoot has wrapped. I like to edit it like 2 weeks later because I need the distance.
That night.
No, it's terrible.
It's fresh in your mind.
I can't.
You know where everything is.
I can't just look at it again. It's like not right away. I don't know.
Do you not like what you do?
I do like it, but I just like.
You finish a shoot and go, I'm terrible. I'm the worst.
No, it's not the editing itself. It's going through rushes, which pains me. Just, you know, to see all those shots, all those attempts over and over again. But yeah, I do like to do the fine cut, but the assembly is worse.
The worst part, actually, not doing the fine cut. Yeah, definitely.
So, but you talk about how a good colorist can really save everything and make it even better. I mean, a good example is, I think, the first project we worked on together, the Red Tails.
Yes, 5 years ago next month.
Yeah, wow.
That's when we first met.
Yeah, and you shot on a 7D.
And a 1D Mark IV.
And all the other cameras were Sony
F35.
F35.
Yeah.
So
it's amazing what they did with it.
Yeah, you couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah. I mean,
the final film.
The first proper doc I shot, a commercial doc I shot on the 5D, Confluence, was graded in LA by a colorist, and I looked, you know, I didn't like what I was getting out of it, particularly color-wise. And when I saw what they had done, I couldn't believe it was the 5D. So a good colorist is amazing, but things that, you know, don't be scared about grading. There's lots of things out there to help you.
Yeah.
So I mean, I use film convert within Premiere. I find it a much easier way of doing things.
Yeah, I use it in Final Cut 10.
Yeah. Final Cut 7.
10.
Oh, you use 10.
Yeah. New version today.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's good. What's it do?
I haven't checked yet. Let's talk a little bit about LUTs, because what's, you know, something which I haven't used so much so far, but I think it's getting everywhere now, is to actually, well, everybody wants to shoot log, right? Yep. The problem is, when you have a client look at the log image, they kind of just like, what the hell is going on? Why does it look like that?
It's not just clients,
it's everywhere.
It's when you're shooting yourself, when we're doing Wunderlist and having the monitor, if I didn't have your SmallHD monitor on the FS7 and I was using the built-in Viewfinder, there's no LUTs. Right. And it's so uninspiring to shoot in log.
Especially with the Sony cameras with the S-Log, which is ultra flat.
Yeah. You just look at it and go, God, I hate this. This looks terrible. But you put a nice LUT on and you go, whoa. And then you get the presenter say, you're going to love this shot here. And the producer and everybody's going, whoa. That's why we loved the standard picture profile on the Canon 5D initially, because it had this contrasty, saturated look. Everybody was like, that's great. But impossible to work with in post. But yeah, but you guys I think you guys were the first to put 3D LUTs in monitors, weren't you?
At least as flexible as they are, right? Yeah. Because we can accept any lookup table format. It's not specific, it's not proprietary. It comes out of any grader that exists, and we can deal with it. We were shooting some stuff with a pocket camera. The pocket camera is like just the flattest thing ever. And it literally, like, you'll put a LUT on it, and like really, it just looks beautiful. You turn it off, and it looks black and white. Like, how is there any color in this image at all? And it's just like, especially with cameras like that, when you're out in the field, it really is just like makes you just feel a little bit better about yourself. You know?
I could not grade the pocket camera stuff. My skills aren't good enough. I couldn't do it, and I just literally everything that I have online with Pod Camera, I just threw the film convert preset on.
Done.
And it's like, I would not have any idea how to make it look like that. So
It's hard. Also, the S-Log out of the A7S.
yeah, it's hard. But
Very
I don't
hard
use
to
it
get the
much,
colors right.
Yeah.
But I saw the features that you have on the new one, which is you can have like presets for LUTs and then flick them through.
Yeah, right. So we can, let me take this off. So on the monitor, this interface we've created, the LUTs are really nice, and a lot of people allow you to put LUTs on monitors now. But what's cool about what we've done is the workflow of it all, right? So you don't have to go through a directory structure or load on a LUT, and then it's there. And then if you want to change or tweak it, then you need to go back through the same process and put it on a LUT. What we can do is you can zoom out of your what we call a page, and you can cascade multiple pages next to each other, and you can have different features or LUTs or whatever you want on each page individually, and it's all live. And so you can literally.
You've never worked on QVC, have you? You need to show
yeah,
everybody the product and like, here we are, here are the LUTs.
That's why you're here. So yeah, so you can see there's 3 different looks to these, and you can keep adding more and more, and you can create these pages, and you can really just browse through your looks like you're just flipping through a magazine, basically, right? So because a lot of times, you just don't know what a look is going to look like until it's there, and so it's just we're making that process of almost, I don't know, we can call it real-time prototyping in the field or whatever, you know what I mean? Just a little bit of trial and error without all the extra steps that is normally required. So yeah, there's this monitor and the future monitors that we're building on this platform are, they're not going to have the highest end bells and whistles a lot of the time, but we're all about workflow and just making things quick and easy. And actually, the tools are there, but they're also really easy to work with and really easy to get in and out of, and user experience is paramount for us. So,
do you guys have any plans to move into recorders, like adding recording functions to your product?
Well, let me turn the question. Oh yeah, we got a couple cameras in the works. I'll turn the question back. What's the big value? Like, I keep asking myself this question a lot, right? What's the value of a monitor, right? Like, why are these Shoguns and these Ninjas and Samurai, like, people are buying they're selling a ton of those things, and I ask myself why. And I think ultimately the answer is production value, right? You buy this thing and I can get 10 bit out of my camera or whatever. I can go straight to a codec that I can edit with, stuff like that. And it took me a while to realize that, but I can't answer the question directly, but I can tell you that we're very fond of increasing the value of our products, and we're going to do that in several different ways this year.
Well, you have become part of the Vitek group recently, so you are part of a much bigger structure. So I'm sure we will see some kind of.
Yes, it's allowing us to put the pedal down a little bit more, for sure. As you can see, the monitor game has just gotten so competitive over the past couple of years. I mean, when we started the company 7 years ago or whatever it was, there weren't really.
It was Kickstarter, wasn't it?
No, it was pre-Kickstarter. We kickstarted it ourselves essentially, but it was the Kickstarter model, but before there was Kickstarter.
Right, gotcha.
We built a web page, we made a video. Here's our product. Give us your money, and we'll ship you a product when we can make it. And that worked pretty well. And that launched us into, back then it was so quaint, you know what I mean? There was only like 1 or 2 or 3 major monitor manufacturers, and it was if you could just give them a high resolution image, you were done, and it was good. But now it's got to wash your car for you, and we're on board with that. But
I think you guys, with the multitude of different cameras and new camera manufacturers, what people are looking for is a unified user experience, because the problem right now is camera operators we now get hired based on what camera we have experience with, whereas it used to be like, can you do camera for me? Yes, no.
Yeah, right.
And now it's like, you can operate a C300, no, then let's go to the other guy, something like that.
Yeah. Well, the answer should always be absolutely. Yeah. And then you're like, as soon as you put that phone down, you're like, anybody got a C300? Quick, I need to borrow it. Let me have a look at it.
Well, there's a few of those people who try that, but
but you have to, really. I mean, unless it's something so terrifying, like, can you fly like a drone with an Epic? Yeah, of course I can. Yeah,
once at least. I can land it, maybe not.
Don't try it.
No,
I know about your experience with drones. You flew one once. It didn't go well.
Don't talk about it.
So that's because you flew it inside your office.
True. Don't want to talk about it.
Don't fly a drone inside your office.
No, but I mean, something like a monitor can really give you a unified user experience, right?
Right.
Because it's you can put the same thing on every camera.
Right.
So it kind of makes stuff easier for people who, you know.
Yeah, it is really interesting, the pattern with monitors, like, we're seeing cameras come out so fast and so often that they're becoming the disposable item. The lenses and everything, the monitors and the rigs, everything around it stays, and the cameras just get swapped out over and over. So yeah, I think the monitor has the ability to be that piece, that your familiar viewing piece, you know, through the lens of the camera that stays consistent, and we're really trying to create a consistent user experience for this year. You're going to see a lot of products from us this year.
Yeah.
And we're really trying to solve different problems. Everyone's so into recording, and I totally get that. But there's all these other problems that I think we can solve through the monitor, and so I'm really excited to do some in the next several months. We're gonna have some pretty cool stuff coming out to solve problems I don't think anyone's really even thought about, or how to solve anyway.
I mean, recorders are important, but I think the screen the monitor is for me the most important thing, because so many cameras now are actually getting much better codecs. The FS7 has a really, people say, oh, you're using, you know, the Shogun or something with the FS7. I'm like, no, I'm using the really fantastic 10-bit internal codec because it's easy.
Yeah.
And you know, even that little Canon thingy, the XC10 has a great internal codec.
Yeah. See fast cards.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, I mean, when this whole recording thing hit 2 or 3 years ago, whatever it was, and when the Ninja and the show, and then the Conversion Design Odyssey came out, my thing was, I mean, the camera guys are going to start recording their own stuff, right? Like you think that's going to, but I think I was missing the point, right? And it's just interesting to see it develop. I mean, you're starting to see the camera manufacturers step up. Sony's notorious for releasing cameras that they can't record their own, you know, A7S and 4K and all that. Yeah. And I think the FS700 was the same way, right? You had to have the Odyssey to get the 120 or whatever it was. Yeah. And so, you know, I'm waiting for that to see how that goes. My biggest fear is that we jump on this recording bandwagon and then the camera manufacturers decide to start recording their own stuff and we just invest it. You know what I mean? I don't think it's really going to happen.
As an operator, I would always rather not. I use the recorders because I have to on certain cameras. Right. I'd rather not, because it's something else to go wrong, because you have that cable.
Yeah, there are problems with
that's them. That's the thing. It's like, you know, it's a necessary evil. Like a rig, it's a necessary thing at times. I'd much rather never. I'd much rather have a lovely, strong internal codec, but you know, it's obviously with cheaper cameras, it's not always possible.
Yeah, and very often I shoot a lot for, you know, a news-based politics show where we used all kinds of different cameras, A7S, FS7, C300, which is difficult to grade, obviously, because they don't have a lot of time, and we are required to use external recorders because they have to go straight to Avid in DNX HD.
And don't record XAVCL. You learned that on your first try.
Oh
with the FS7, because nothing can edit.
Nothing can edit it. Well, the newest Premiere can do it.
It can do it now.
It can do it.
Good.
Yeah. The 2014 version.
Oh, oh right, it must have been an update. I haven't seen that. But that's
no, it was the only one at the time that could do it, because it's a intra-frame codec. So takes a bit of processing power.
It does, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, now what I wanted to say before is you now see camera operators only, you know, when they get hired for a job to shoot with a specific camera, they hire that camera, but they bring their own monitor or viewfinder. It's very funny because it's very much like ACs operate. You know, they want to use their remote follow focus or their normal follow focus because that's what they know. And now camera operators kind of move into the same direction with their own monitors, which they can move from camera to camera in order to be able to guarantee that, you know, everything is in focus, basically.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Well, let's wrap it up here. Thanks, guys, for
having
being
us on the couch.
On
your couch.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for being here, and thanks to our audience at home. Thanks to our sponsors, B&H, Film Convert, Rode, and see you on the next show of On the Couch. Thanks for watching.